the more threatening something is, okay, the more irrational you're going to become. Okay, now what we want to ultimately do is we want to learn to train the brain of where ultimately that danger or threat exists. Okay, like I said to you, if typically speaking 2 lots feels uncomfortable and threatening, by trading a lot of 2 lots, at some point we're going to start to shift that line, where now actually 2 lots is no longer threatening, but 4 lots is. And at some point 4 lots becomes comfortable, and we just keep shifting that line. How do we shift that line? Through experience, through exposing ourselves through it. Okay, and this is with everything. This is with everything you go through. The more you can expose yourself to different understandings and experiences and compartmentalizing things, the less of a threat it becomes to you. That's how you control the monkey, by the way. Let's talk about that. Okay, how do you manage your chimp? Now, this comes from the book. I'm going to show you a practical way to do it. First of all, you need to recognize when the chimp is in control. And that's what we call the FF practical, or the fast forward practice, which I'm going to do right at the end. Okay? So you need to recognize when he's controlling things and when he's not. Like I showed you that example of going through all the different hypothetical scenarios, you need to know when the chimp is making the decisions and when it's not. When the computer's making the decisions, when it's not. When you're rationalizing, when you're not. Okay? You need to communicate. And Dr. Peters talks about this. He actually says sometimes it's very good to laugh at your chimp. Now, what I sometimes like to do when I have a really, really, really bad day, I kind of like to go and draw it out and just almost, just bless you, laugh at the loss. Okay, really kind of look at it and go, wow, you went from a 10 lot and then you had a 30 lot. I mean, that's just the stupid. Just really kind of make it seem just so stupidly funny. Where if I showed it to you, if I actually showed you my trading, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be like, I'm not going to show these guys that. That'll be a bit embarrassing. Okay, but when you can kind of make light-hearted of that situation, you sort of almost start to humanize the chimp. You start to make it feel less burdensome, less horrible. Okay, use logic to override your emotions. And we can talk a lot about this in part 3 when we introduce different trading tools. Right? Be objective at the end of the day. Analyze the situation objectively. Make decisions based on facts. Okay, if you're making a decision based on it feels like the price is going down, who's going to be in control of that decision? Of course your chimp is. Okay, whereas the volume came in, I've seen this 1,000 times, every time the volume comes in and it does this, okay, who's in control then? The computer. Okay. Number 4, manage stress and anxiety. We'll talk a little bit about this later on. Things like, self-awareness, self-discipline, exercise, sleeping well, all of these things allow you to, again, manage stress and anxiety. When you're stressed, if you have a bad night's sleep, who's going to be in control first thing in the morning? Okay, we talk about warming up as traders. Very important. If you try and take a big position on first thing in the morning when you're still cold, the reality is you're less likely to be in control of that situation, and your monkey brain's more likely to manage that situation for you. Okay? So managing stress and anxiety is very important in terms of controlling the chimp. Building self-confidence. Okay? And this goes without saying. The more experience you have at something, the more you've observed it, the more you've experienced it, okay, the more rational you'll be, the less monkey involvement. And that's that line I showed you. The more you experience, the more that line shifts to the right. Okay, the less sort of unknowns there are in trading. And then lastly, develop emotional safeguard coping policies. And I love this in so many, there's not enough traders that have this. Okay, like I said to you on the business plan calculator that I showed you, if you know what that break even is, you manage everything from there. And this is similar. I remember distinctly whenever I used to travel, I'd have my TT on my phone and I'd let me sell 1 lot there, let me sell 2 lots, let me just play around. The next thing, I'm down $1,000, and the next thing I've gone from 1 lot to 10 lot, trading on a mobile whilst traveling. And then I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever, I want to enjoy my holiday, and now I'm not enjoying my holiday. Okay, so what is the policy? What's the coping policy? Well, it's simple. When I travel, I don't trade. I couldn't give 2 hoots. Yesterday, yes, I had to come to London. Yesterday, the markets were pretty volatile. Do you think I had a position on whilst I was on the plane? Of course not. Not because I didn't think it would go down, not because I didn't want to make money. Of course I do, but the reality is that's my policy. Everyone has their own policies, and it's not about adopting what I do. It's about adopting a coping policy for you. Put your policies in place. Okay, what do you do after a bad night's sleep? Okay, I don't trade in the morning after a bad night's sleep. That's my policy. Now, why a policy works is because if I come in on a Monday and I've had a bad night's sleep, I'm guaranteed to not lose money because I'm guaranteed not to trade. Okay, which means my monkey chimp can never be involved because I'm not allowing him to be involved. Yet so few traders want to implement these policies. Why? Because, well, no, I have to trade. No, your job's not to trade. Your job's to be profitable, to make good decisions. Okay, you have an argument with your wife. Oh goodness, this is a terrible one. There's nothing worse than trying to be objective and have a clean frame of mind when you have an argument. Okay, what I typically do, or what I used to typically do when I had an argument, it's only money, whatever, it's her fault. Okay, I lost money because of her, or him, or however it works. Okay, so if I have an argument again, I don't want to trade. I don't want to put myself in that situation where my chimp is going to manage things. It's not worth it. Okay, if you take a big loss, this one's actually a great one. Deep losses at 5 p.m. What I used to do so much in my career, I'd have a down day and then I'd be kind of hovering around that stop point and you just think, oh, I just want to make a little bit back. And the next thing is 5 p.m. Now for me, when I get past 4 p.m., the day's done. Okay, I'm a morning person. So at 4 p.m., I don't want to be trading because I know at 4 p.m. the decision making sort of just gets worse and worse and worse. Okay, so what I do if I'm in deep losses at 5 p.m., I switch off. Not because I'm not committed, not because I can't make it back, but because I know myself well enough through enough years of self-discovery that if I'm going to try and make decisions at 5 p.m., what's the result going to be? It's not going to be favorable in the long run. And yet so few traders are afraid to create their own coping policies. Okay, multiple markets. This used to scare the hell out of me. I used to have 4 or 5 positions on at the same time. Do you know what happens when you have 4 or 5 positions at the same time and they all go the wrong way? Technically, you're 5 times leveraged. And guess who's going to manage that situation for you? It's not going to be your rational brain. No ways. Okay, so I will never have more than 3 positions on. Never. If I want to take another position, choose. Get rid of one of them. Okay. Overnight positions. Again, another one that so many traders become day traders and then they become swing traders. Why? Because, well, if I hold the overnight, there's a very good time to hold an overnight position. Okay. For example, a weekend position would have been very good based on what's going on in the world right now. Okay? There is a time and a place for it, but what's the policy? What is your rules-based policy to safeguard you, not what the guide next to you does? Do what's best for you because this is your journey, this is your career.